Hey, back with another breakdown for UFC Fight Night Krylov versus Spann. Actually, when we look at the prelims, it's a few fighters that a lot of us should know something about, just the hardcore fans. We got Eric Gonzalez on the card kicking it off. Then the next fight.
And Trevor Peake, he got some highlight reel knockouts on his record too.
He nice.
Yeah, man, he got some stiff knockouts.
Dang. So that's nice, man. Then we got Garrett Armfield is back. It's about time for him to get a win because I think he got 2 losses. No, he got 2 losses.
That's easier said than done, man.
Click on his record. No, he got 1 loss in a row, huh?
Yeah. Oh, just only to David Onama.
Oh, for some reason.
It felt like 2 or 3 losses, didn't it?
Yeah, I think he took a fight on short notice, but at some point, I think he had another fight scheduled when something happened. And then, Eileen Perez is back.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of her, to be honest with you.
We know what that means. Definitely don't miss the weigh-ins. And hopefully she can get a W so we can... But then we got Rafael Alves is back. Had a good, exciting fight with Judoba last time, so it's good to have him back. Hopefully he can pull out something. Then we got... This is actually really interesting. Ode Osborne is fighting Charles Johnson. I believe Charles is stepping up on short notice again. Both of these guys need this win because Charles just got his first win in the UFC, but it was by split decision and it was real controversial. And then Ode, what's Ode's record? Did he just lose or is he coming off a win?
He got knocked out by Tyson now, remember?
Dang.
You remember he was winning and he threw that knee and screwed up, man.
Shoot.
The flyweight division so thin, Ode can lose and still be in top 10.
But is he in the top 10?
No, he's not. He's
not. Man, he got to build some consistency, man. He was doing good, but like we said, that's usually around the time where for some reason he'll just make a decision in the fight and it'll cost him.
Yeah, he got to stay focused, man, the whole time.
The whole time. He can't make no mistakes. And we got Joe Selecki back at the lightweight. We also see the return of Jordan Levitt. The last time we saw him was getting beat by Paddy Pimblett in London. And I don't know, man. I think they handpicked him for that particular reason, but he did good for a minute. But then
I know he feels some kind of way, especially after Paddy's last fight.
Yeah.
I know he felt like, dang, I probably could have did a little bit more and probably won.
At least with the grappling portion of it, because I think he was doing decent with the grappling until he ended up getting submitted. So now we're going to really skip up here to this main card, and we have Mike Malott versus Yohan Lainesse. This is actually very interesting. A lot of these fights on this card, these ain't title implications or nothing. Other than the main event, maybe whoever wins can break it to the top 10. Krylov not in the top 10, huh?
I think he is, actually. I think he is.
I don't know. Sometimes he fluctuates depending on what's going on. But Ryan Spann for sure is not up there. So maybe if he can win...
They're both on the skirts of it, the top 10 probably.
Yeah. The rest of these fights are just kind of some regular fights. But we got Mike Malott here.
You know, we saw his fight live with Mickey Gall.
Yeah,
we saw that fight live.
He was on the Contender. And he won a fight in 39 seconds submission. I like what I'm seeing from this guy. He actually seems like a little more refined version of Mickey Gall, ironically. Yeah. He seems like whatever we wanted Mickey the Gall to become, which sometimes we see that from Mickey, and then he'll get to a fight like this and mess it up.
Yeah, he seems like he's a little bit opportunistic too. With the submissions and with the striking too.
Yeah.
And I like his striking because he's aggressive, but he's not too aggressive at the same time.
I like that. And like you said, he's real opportunistic. When it comes to submissions, he'll jump on something. And you know how they say position before submission?
Yeah.
I'll see him get the submission in first, and then he'll work his way into the right position. So he kind of does things backwards, but like you said, he'll just take what he can get, and it's been working out so far.
And he's also real sneaky too, like sneaky left hook, sneaky right hand, sneaky high kick.
Yeah, because the way he got Mickey I didn't see that coming. And then we got Yohan Lainesse, who was coming off of a win against, Darian Weeks?
Yeah.
And
close one.
It was a close one, to be honest. You know, it wasn't nothing too dominant or crazy, but I think he was coming off of a loss before that fight. So he had to kind of fight a certain type of way to make sure he get back in the win column. Because I want to say he was undefeated before.
Yeah, you remember he hurt Gabe Green, he dropped Gabe Green, and then he kind of gassed out after that. He was done.
He kind of gassed in the Darian Weeks fight as well. So that might be a thing we might need to look out for, is that cardio. I imagine it's definitely gotten better. But Mike Malott, does he go to a lot of decisions, or is he just a finisher?
4-4. I think he has 4 by knockout and 4 by submission. Ooh, no decisions.
Yeah, no decisions. So,
but I'm not gonna lie to you. These are 2 of the hardest. I'm not gonna say the hardest hitters, but 2 of.
I wouldn't say Mike is a hard hitter though. For him, it's more about timing. It's more about the angle and the timing that he hits you than just pure power. But Yohan has big power up until a certain level, it seems. But then when he can't just put you down with those bumps, a lot of times he has to resort to the wrestling, and then the cardio starts to become a factor. But do you have a prediction for that fight, or are you just gonna watch it? I'm just gonna watch it.
I'm gonna be honest, this is more like a freak fight, to be honest. Which I think Mike, he's more likely to put together a game plan I'm not really a fan of Yohan, the way he doesn't set up his strikes. He just throws. It's weird. He throws jabs, but when he throws his knockout punches, he don't throw it behind the jab. So he throws his jab just to kind of, I guess, get the distance.
Yeah.
But then he just throws like body kicks, like left hand, right hand. So it's like,
Yeah,
but I'm gonna have to go with Mike, man. He's more calculated on this one.
I will make a prediction for this fight. I'll lean more towards Mike as well, just because I see a bigger upside for Mike.
But he got the first round though.
But then we take a look at Tatiana, Suarez, and Montana de la Rosa.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call it what it is. Tatiana should go in there and put a stamp on this one, because the fact of the matter is Montana has to get this fight to the ground herself to win the fight. When you go back and look at her record, she's 5-3 in the UFC. A lot of her wins come by submission. She's tough, so her losses come by decision, but
it seems like she does good against a certain level of opponent.
100%.
And when she gets to that mid-tier, she kind of struggles.
Because, I mean, beating Rachel Ostovich, don't get me wrong, it's a big name, but at the same time, Rachel was kind of on a bad skirt there. Let's just be honest. But Tatiana, I'm just put it to you like this. She repeatedly took down Carla Esparza until she finished her with ground and pound. If you know anything about Carla Esparza and how to beat her, most people ain't beating her like that. So that in and of itself to let you know what you're dealing with.
There's two, I would like to see her kind of just slow things down a little bit too. Don't be as predictable. I seen one of her fights, she took her opponent down. I think it was on Ultimate Fighter finale. She took her opponent down and she was in armbar. And she just got to just slow things down and kind of strike a little bit more and set up the takedowns. Because we know you're going to come with the takedowns, but don't just be more predictable. Because then Montana, any opportunity she gets,
she'll take it.
She'll take it.
And that'll be how she win, because she won't be able to just beat her straight up. It'll just be more taking advantage of if Suarez makes a mistake. I'm going to lean more towards Suarez here, obviously. She's minus 740 for a reason. I think we all know what it is.
I'm going to stay away from this one, to be honest. I smell an upset, but
I'm upset!
I mean, it could happen. The thing is, when you win so many fights in a row, you're bound to lose eventually. So that's just But then we come up here to your boy Dontel Mays and Augusto Sakai. Actually, Dontel Mays, his last fight against Hamdi was overturned to be a no contest because Hamdi popped for banned substance. I will probably post an article in the description below. But yeah, that was a thing. I didn't realize that. But Hamdi did take that fight on short notice, but he won a split decision. And Dontel, he just made a lot of head-scratching decisions in that fight.
But did Hamdi win? Because he did a lot of lay and pray, man. He was trying to steal.
You know how they score fights, though, man. I mean, you know what it is.
I'm starting to notice that.
According to scoring, I can see how they could have kind of leaned more towards Dontel, depending on what they were scoring for. But according to how they traditionally favor fights, Hamdi won just because of the wrestling. But a lot of it was to avoid getting knocked out. But he did take the fight on short notice, though.
Oh, yeah.
But even then, Dontel Mays, there were so many opportunities where he should have finished that fight. I'm just going to call it. That fight should have never went to a decision.
Dontel, he's good at throwing like a different variety of attacks. When he fought Hamdi, he would throw a knee, but he'd be too far away, man. I don't know if he would just...
Maybe he thought he was going to shoot for a takedown, so he may have been just overthinking.
His timing was off a little bit. His distance was off just by a little bit.
But Dontel Mays, you never know what you're going to get. Sometimes you get an impressive performance, and then you think there'll be a follow-up performance, and then you don't get that, and it's like, oh.
It's weird because he kind of fight. I'm not comparing him to John Jones, but they're both two big, strong athletes. And, you know, he one of John Jones' main sparring partners. And John Jones got a fight coming up. So, I mean.
John Jones, though. So, yeah.
I'm just saying having John Jones to train with is good, man. But, I mean,
but
we need more consistency from Dontel.
In the actual cage, not the gym. But what you think about Augusto?
Augusto, I looked at a lot of his fights. Well, I'm not impressed. I was looking for anything, man, that stood out. The only thing that stands out is he has power. And he likes to get people against the cage where they can't move. Against certain level of opponents with low fire keys, man, like, that's the only type of people who he can knock out.
But look at who you're fighting.
I know, man. And
so it kind of, I mean...
I don't know, man. It depends on which Dontel we get.
Put two and two together, and I mean,
I'm being. It's time for Augusto to drop out the top 10.
Well, how is he in the top 10?
Because
he win when he ain't supposed to, and then he lose.
Oh, did he knock out Morrison to Bora?
This dude, man. It's almost like he'll destroy people's prospect status just to not do nothing with it.
Last time I say Dontel don't have the best cardio either, man.
I know.
So if Augusto can get this in third round, he might be able to.
In the way that Augusto fights, and how sometimes it seems like he got an indestructible chin. Sometimes, every now and then it's like,
I'm gonna go with Augusto on this one in the third round.
I'm gonna go get something to eat during this fight, so I don't have no predictions.
I'm on my way.
But a fight I'm not gonna miss. This is interesting because it's André Muniz versus Brendan Allen. Brendan, if you look at the last few people who beat him, Chris Curtis and Sean Strickland are training partners, and André don't fight like that. But you know, one thing I can't help is I remember when Brendan Allen went back and forth with Kevin Holland when they was grappling. And he got double legged by Kevin Holland and almost submitted in the first round. He barely got out of a rear naked choke. Now he ended up coming back and winning by rear naked choke in the second round, but
because you know why? Brandon Allen, he likes to play possum, man. Like, he'll let people take him down. He'll reverse him. Like he did against Jocko. Jocko was on top of him. He reversed him.
this ain't the fight to be trying to do no reverses because...
And I'm going to tell you this, though. With André Muniz, he makes a lot of mistakes, too, man.
He does, but he get away with it because he's so dangerous that the reality is that this fight hit the ground, it's over.
I don't know, man. I've seen him get taken down. I've seen him on his back.
Jacare took him down. Jacare took him down. You saw that fight ended. But then he took Eric Anders down. You saw that fight ended. And then we saw what he did to
even against Bruno had him on his back, man.
Bruno was on a win streak with a bunch of knockouts. So you got he got a different type of power.
Another Bruno is Bruno Assist.
Who is that?
I think they fought on the contender.
Never mind. I ain't got no.
But he's a jiu-jitsu guy too, man. I'm just saying, like André, he has respect Brandon Allen's game.
Brandon Allen's game this will make him dangerous. He's very technical. He's good enough everywhere to be a complete fighter, but he's not a super good athlete. But he's a tough guy and he's durable. But it seemed like it lasts up until a certain point, and then you kind of hit a ceiling. And I think that André is that ceiling. I'll just be honest.
This fight might come down to who can take their opponent down and take their back first. Let's be real. They both gonna try to do the same thing.
But Brendan, I don't think that'll be a smart decision. I think the best thing is to keep this fight standing up. André don't have terrible stand up, but Brendan should have better stand up. And the way André fights on the feet is not nearly what Chris Curtis or Sean Strickland can do. I don't know. I'm leaning more towards André here, but I wouldn't count Brendan out, but I'm going with André.
Yeah, he wins 4 or 5 fights in a row, and then he'll reach a certain level, and he can never get over that hurdle.
When you go look at his win streak, because he has a lot of wins, just go look at the names, and it's like, well, you're supposed to beat those guys. And then whenever there's a big jump up in competition, it's like, dang. But he is good, though, you know. And what were you saying about André and Brendan being bad matchups for the champion, the current champion, at least right now? Might not be next month, but, you know.
I was just saying this is an important fight because they both should be extremely confident because who the current champion is. They both don't favor good against Israel, but they both favor really good against the current champion, Alex.
Think Brendan Allen matches up well against Alex Pereira?
Ooh, but any opportunity he gets. Brandon only good at one thing, but he's really good at that one thing.
Oh, you talking about just being opportunistic?
Yes. I'm not saying he can win, and we can disagree on this, but I don't think that Robert Whitakers and these guys can beat Alex. But the thing is...
You don't think Robert Whitaker matches up well against Alex?
I don't think so, man, because it's going to be a striking match. It's going to be a stand-up fight. But I think Brandon Allen, because he can jump on that back real there. Say if Alex is against Cage, Brandon not going to do what Israel did. He's going to jump on his back.
And it's funny you say that because in that moment, even if Brendan some kind of way can survive for, let's say, 2 or 3 rounds, and then all of a sudden, you know, fatigue and stuff sets in, the opportunities that Israel didn't take when the fight was on the ground, Brendan would have finished that fight. But it's the thing. You got to be a certain level of fighter to even make it that far. That's why he does not match up well against him, because you have to make it that far first. And Brendan, if he got knocked out by Sean Strickland, and Sean Strickland don't have knockout power like that, and he just poured it on with pure volume. If he was able to frustrate him, because remember, he frustrated Brendan too. He didn't just beat him.
Oh, yeah.
He kind of poured it on him for a while, and it was kind of a beatdown. It was real brutal. And I want to say that Sean maybe even took that fight on short notice, if I'm not mistaken. Alex disposes of him any kind of way he wants to.
Alex destroys both of them. I'm just saying, like, you got guys like Derek Bronson, you got these wrestlers, these grapplers, man, they're watching, and they're more confident now because Israel's not champion. So maybe these up-and-coming wrestlers and grapplers,
they can't beat Israel. They can't beat Izzy. The only person who might have a chance if they can work their way up the rankings, depending on what happens now in this fight, is André. No, I'm saying it's André. I'm saying André has a chance because people are looking at him. But at the same time, when Brendan keep getting beat by people who take fights from short notice and they knocking him out and they finishing him and they destroying his win streak and he have to continue to rebuild, I'm sorry, man. There's a clear ceiling.
Yeah. I didn't say he can win. I was just saying
because if that's the case,
he's gonna be confident.
If we looking at opportunistic fighters, give me an opportunistic guy who he might not stand a chance in that matchup. Jim Miller. I mean, you could put Jim Miller in there against any of these guys, man. Jim Miller might can submit them. I'm just keeping it a stack with you. Yeah. I can see Jim Miller. Look, it might not be a big chance of it happening, but I can see Jim Miller some kind of way submitting a Rafael Fiziev some kind of way. I wouldn't never pick Jim Miller in that fight, but I'm just saying, a guy like that who's real dangerous on the ground and you can't make no mistakes and stuff like that. But the reality is you got to make it that far, and Brendan ain't gonna make it. That's the thing.
Yeah, you're right, man.
Even if he get up here, man, he gonna get beat by Jack Hermanson or whatever. Like, now we jump up to Nikita Krylov and Ryan Spann, and you talk about, I don't know how y'all making predictions on this fight, because I think the best way to predict this fight is to take a quarter, flip it, and choose heads or tails for one of these guys, and then flip a coin.
Don't do it. You'll regret it, man. Trust me.
Because that's what you got. You got two fighters who, they might look impressive in one fight, and the next fight they might go out there and just completely drop the ball and itch the bed. You just don't know.
It's like they both at the bottom of the top tier, man.
Well, look, number 6 in Nikita and number 8 in Ryan Spann. That's how bad the light heavyweight division is when Nikita is number 6. Right?
The only thing is, when Nikita was fighting against Magomed, man, he had some moments. I think he won the first round.
Yeah.
But then we know how Magomed did in the second, third round. He took him down. So I'm saying Nikita looks good against good or top 5 opponents. Do Ryan Spann look good against top 5 opponents? No.
Nah.
It's almost like, I'm not going to say it's mental, man, but it's almost like when Ryan Spann fights certain type of people, it's almost like he's defeated before he steps into the octagon.
But I think he coming in with a lot of confidence this time because he got that big win over Dominic Reyes. He did have to eat some big shots to get there. I know that fight only lasted a little bit of time, but it was a lot of pressure in that fight, and the lights was on, and the lights was bright.
Ryan Spann, he's a bully. One thing I noticed when watching Ryan Spann, if he can't land that right hand, Ryan Spann, if he can't land that right hand, he start to like kind of freak out, man. Because like even when he fought against Sam Alvey, of all people, Sam Alvey hurt him in the third round. But when Sam avoided the right hand, it's almost like Ryan Spann to have nothing.
Ryan Spann ain't had a whole bunch of cardio either, and that's one thing. But I think it's getting better.
No, I'm just saying, if Ryan Spann try to go out there and snipe in that right hand against Nikita, and he keeps missing it, and it's like Ryan Spann, his confidence starts off at 100, but whenever he misses and can't get the fight to the ground, his confidence drops low.
And that's all in one round. Like, that's not over the course of a whole fight. That's just in one round. You can get a completely different Ryan Spann from round 1 and round 2. I think that even the Nikita that's inconsistent, he's still consistent as far as his cardio. You know, he's still consistent as far, and this is a 5-round fight.
And I'm gonna keep it real with you, man. Nikita Krylov, he has some of the worst fight IQ in the UFC.
And that's the only thing.
He made certain mistakes, man. Like even when Kutalabo fought Ryan Spann, you remember he kept on going for takedowns. It's like, bro, why you can't just stand up with the guy? And then Ryan Spann ended up submitting him. I could see Nikita Krylov, I could see him hurting Ryan Spann and going for a takedown and getting guillotined.
But I'm gonna tell you this though, look at Nikita's losses. 9 losses. 6 submission losses. Ryan Spann really only want to do one thing at the end of the day.
But there's only one issue with Ryan Spann.
He got to close the distance and get the fight to the ground.
How he going to do that? Because he don't have the best takedowns. When Ryan Spann fought against Anthony Smith, he picked him up and carried him across the octagon and couldn't even take him down. It's like, bro, you literally picked him up and
everything.
Couldn't take him down.
It's like, couldn't even get the fight to the ground.
It's like he don't have the wrestling like fundamentals, but he has the jiu-jitsu, but not the wrestling.
You know, I think that for 5 rounds, I think that Nikita is more dependable. Even just being the fighter he is, I think we know we're going to get for 5 rounds, good or bad. And I think that Ryan Spann, I know he got a lot of confidence coming off that Dominic Reyes win. Yeah. But at the end of the day, your cardio ain't getting better in one fight. There's just no way. There's no way your cardio...
Well, we have to say this. Nikita still has to avoid the ground, though.
I know, but I'm finna say this.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick Ryan Spann just because I think Nikita been circling around this for too long without really making no waves, man. I mean, you had several times where you didn't even have a champion in your division and stuff like that. I'm surprised he's number 6. I know Ryan Spann just cracked into the top 10 with the win over Dominic Reyes, but I feel like Nikita been around too long.
Lost to Paul Craig, Magomed, Glover, Yohan. Them guys are former champions other than Paul Craig.
And at the time, Misha in 2016 was supposed to be that guy, remember?
Yeah.
Before he hit whatever that was that he hit.
Yeah. Another thing is, I'm not a fan of Ryan Spann throwing one punch at a time, man. Nikita's probably one of the best in the light heavyweight division and throwing combinations. And I can see him back. And another thing is, Ryan Spann, he's not the best when he's going back, man. He's like a bully. And Nikita, he's real good when he's walking forward.
And it take cardio to be a bully, too. For some reason, man, I just think Nikita going to drop the ball here.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised at the outcome of this fight. I'm going to sit back and just watch this one. I really don't have a prediction because these guys are just too up and down. But like you said, Nikita, his losses are more high quality. But the fact of the matter is, in the UFC, I mean, he lost on the contender. Ryan Spann lost on the contender. But in the UFC, he only got 2 losses at the end of the day. Anthony Smith and Johnny. And I think he's learning. He's learning.
It's like Nikita don't be having no game plan. It's like he just be freestyling when he fight. But you can't fight somebody as dangerous as Ryan Spann like that because you make a mistake. And if you don't do your homework and your research on Ryan Spann, you go out there, you can get caught coming in or you can get submitted.
And Ryan Spann is opportunistic, man. I'm going to lean more towards Ryan, but over the course of 5 rounds,
no way,
I wouldn't be surprised if he gassed. I wouldn't be surprised if he had the fight finished and then he made some type of weird mistake because sometimes we've seen him do that, like against Johnny Walker. That was just unacceptable, man. I don't know what that was. Even with Anthony Smith, there were times where he should have finished that fight. Because remember, he had Anthony in submission, and then Anthony reversed it, and then got him in the submission. And I'm like, man, what is going on here?
But even with Johnny Walker, when Nikita fought against Johnny Walker, those takedowns he was getting, he was kind of reckless with it, and it worked against Johnny Walker. But you try to take down Ryan Spann like that, you can get submitted, man. But
I'm going Ryan.
I'm gonna have to go with Nikita. It's the cardio thing and it's the combinations, man. Like,
I understand
because I can see Ryan Spann throwing punches and missing, and
I can see him just being gassed in the second round. I can see him being gassed at the end of the first round. But I'm gonna go with Ryan Spann, man.
I'm gonna go with Nikita on this one.
All right.
Like this video and subscribe.